New heaven, new earth. I don't like standing behind this thing. I like to walk around.
And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And God himself shall be with them, and be their God.
So we need to understand that the tabernacle of Yah is ultimately going to become Yah with man. He's going to be with us, and he's going to dwell with us. And dwell with us has a lot to do with him dwelling within us. Y'all hearing that?
Yes.
Dwelling within us and dwelling within our midst for the rest of our lives. And we're going to be his people, and he's going to be our Elohim, our mighty one. Come on.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death.
Can't wait for that, right? There'll be no more death. There'll be no more death. See, the reason why Adam died was because he disobeyed the Father. So when it says no more death, that means there ain't going to be no more disobedience. There will come a time there ain't going to be no more disobedience. Because it was disobedience that caused death to come in the first place. Y'all hearing that?
Yes.
No more death, what else?
Neither sorrow,
Come on.
nor crying,
Come on.
neither shall there be any more pain.
Come on.
For the former things are passed away.
Because the former things are passed away. Now, we talked about this on last week, that the creative acts of Yah are recorded in the first chapter of Bereshit, which is Genesis. Genesis means, it doesn't mean the beginning, it means a beginning. A beginning. Y'all ever start beginning to walk up some stairs, and you got to the top, and you said, now what did I come up here for? Maybe y'all, it didn't happen to none of y'all. And y'all had to actually go all the way back downstairs to remember what you went up to the stairs the first time for. Has that ever happened to anybody?
Yes.
All right? So what happened when you came back downstairs because you forgot why you walked up the stairs in the first place? That was a Bereshit. That was a new beginning, a new track back up them stairs. So, now I know why I'm going up there. And you went up there and you got whatever it was that you was trying to go. That's what Genesis means. It doesn't mean the beginning in Hebrew. It means a beginning. A beginning. A start. Because the earth has always been here before Adam was here. Y'all hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay? And in Bereshit, it's recorded that the Father created heaven and the earth. He created animal life, and he created human life in Genesis, in this new beginning.
Yes.
Okay? Genesis 1:1 opens up like this. Come on.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
In this beginning, Yah created the heaven and the earth. Now, we don't know when that beginning was. We don't know when that beginning started. All we know is in the beginning, there was a heaven created and there was an earth created. Y'all following that?
Yes.
Okay? We talked about dateless time or eternity past. In other words, it has no limit. It has no limit because Yah is in eternity. And when he created the things that he created, he was on the outside of his creation. He wasn't on the inside of his creation. He was on the outside creating it, creating the heaven and creating the earth. So we don't have a date for when that beginning took place. Y'all walking with me?
Yes.
All right. The book of Job, it talks about, again, the things that was happening in that period of time when the Father created the heaven and the earth. In between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2, something happened, something took place. All right, and in the book of Job, also in the book of Enoch, it talks extensively about how the old world used to be. But we're going to just use Job, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Job has declared was going on with the old world. Because when he created man, the old world was already there, was already gone. And something happened to it, something cataclysmic happened between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2 that caused the earth to be like it was. So in Job, he gives us an idea that there was other things going on, other things that happened. Come on, Job chapter 38, verse 4. What it say?
Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth?
So he's asking Job a question. Where was you when I first laid the foundations of the earth? Come on.
Declare if thou hast understanding.
Come on.
Who hath laid the measures thereof? If thou knowest, or who hath stretched the line upon it?
Come on.
Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof?
So he's asking some questions about the beginnings of the beginning. Okay? Come on.
When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay? Come on.
Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb.
So this letting you know in verse 7 that there was something here before we were. There were morning stars, and all of the sons of God shouted for joy. There were people, there were some creatures of beings that were here. Y'all hearing that, right? Watch this.
When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors.
So again, he's letting you know he was setting up the world in a certain specific way. And he's asking Job, declare all of these things, because this is how it was prior to you even being on the face of the earth. And we talked about Job being a really, really old book. All right? A really old book. Come on.
Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death?
Y'all hear these words, right? He's asking some questions. How you did these things? Because these things had to take place in order for the world to be established how it is. Okay? Come on.
Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth?
Where is the way where light dwelleth? Come on.
And as for darkness, where is the place thereof?
It's good questions. Where is light and where is darkness truly at? Where does it come from? Where does it begin? Okay? Come on.
That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldst know the paths to the house thereof.
Come on.
Knowest thou it because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is
He
great?
said you don't know none of that stuff because you wasn't even here yet. Okay? Come on. Go down to verse 25. What did it say?
Who hath divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder?
Come on.
To cause it to rain on the earth, where no man is, on wilderness wherein there is no man.
To cause it to rain on the earth where no man is. So he's letting him know what the earth was prior to. He said to cause it to rain. He said, who has divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder? To cause it to rain on the earth where no man is. On the wilderness where there is no man. So then you know there was a time before there was a man on the earth. Okay? Come on.
Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in this season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons?
So again, it's showing you these things are planets and these things are stars. And he's asking Job, do you know anything about any of these things? And Job, of course, doesn't know about any of these things. It's not in his pay grade to know these things, all right? Come on.
Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven?
That's a good question. Do you know the ordinances of heaven? Do you know the laws that governs the heavens? Are y'all hearing that? There are laws that govern heaven, but they tell us that the law's been done away with. Come on.
Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth?
Come on.
Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds? That abundance of waters may cover thee?
Come on.
Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, here we are?
So he's asking all these questions and laying it out. In Genesis 1 and 2, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. This is what's going on. Genesis 1 and 1, he created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1 and 2, all of a sudden the earth was without form, it was for it in darkness. So what happened in between that time? That's what Job was letting us alluded to, that there was a world here before we were here. There was something and people here before we were here. Okay? So what happened? What we have to understand and know that there were two separate rebellions in the early days. There were two separate rebellions in the early days. And we need to know that and understand that. There was Lucifer's rebellion, and then there was the Watchers' rebellion. A lot of times we think that Lucifer's rebellion was the same rebellion as the Watchers' rebellion. But they wasn't the same thing. There was two different ones that took place and two things that happened in the old world. Y'all get that? Jeremiah 4:23 is going to give us a hint of what it took place and what happened. Watch this.
I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly.
These are the things that happened when Lucifer rebelled against the Most High. And we're going to distinguish them. We're going to talk about Lucifer's rebellion first, and then we'll understand where the Watchers fit in with their rebellion, dealing with the old world. Are y'all still with me?
Yes.
Okay? So Jeremiah is letting you know that he saw the earth without form, and that it was without void, and the heavens had no light in them. And he's talking about the mountains were low and trembling, and all the hills were moved lightly. So he's letting you know something happened and something took place between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. Come on, what else is that?
I beheld, and lo, there was no man.
So again, he's talking at a time where there was no men.
Right.
Y'all hearing this?
Yes.
He said, and beheld, and lo, there was no man. Come on.
And all the birds of the heavens were fled.
Come on.
I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger.
So something happened that got the Father upset, and everything that was here got destroyed. Y'all following this, right? This is going to be very important because we're dealing with the old world. If you don't understand the old world, you definitely ain't going to understand no new world coming. Y'all hearing this? Watch this. Come on, Isaiah 24:1.
Behold, Yah maketh the earth empty,
He maketh the earth empty. Come on.
and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof.
So he let you know that there was some inhabitants that was on this planet, on this earth, before we got here. And it says Yahweh makes the earth empty. And he makes it waste, and he turned it upside down, and he scattered abroad the inhabitants thereof. Important to know. Isaiah 45:18, what did it say?
For thus saith Yahweh that created the heavens, God himself hath formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited.
So it tells you that he created the earth. Remember, in the beginning, God created the what? Heavens and the earth. When he created it, he didn't create it in vain. He created it and formed it so that it could be what? Inhabited. Very important. Come on.
I am Yah, and there is none else.
And he's letting you know that it was only one creator that created all this. Okay? So, everybody say, what happened?
What happened?
Ezekiel 28:13-17, we're learning about the first rebellion that happened in the old world. Come on.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, and the sapphire, and the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets of thy pipes was prepared in the day that thou wast created.
So, there was a being that was created that had every precious stone as his covering, or as its covering. And all of these precious stones were on this particular being. Sardis, topaz, particular being as his covering? Come on.
Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth.
So it identifies this being with all of these beautiful stones on them as the anointed cherub that covereth. Come on.
And I have said thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God.
This being was also on the holy mountain of Yah. Come on.
Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
He was able to walk up and down in the stones of the midst of fire. Come on.
Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created.
So this being was perfect in all of his ways when he was created. Come on.
Till iniquity was found in thee.
Until lawlessness was found in him. So that lets you know that the characteristics of this being is going to be lawlessness. In other words, it's going to go against the law, the statutes, the judgments that was already in the earth. That's going to be the characteristics of this being. Y'all following it?
Yes.
Okay, come on.
By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned.
So another characteristics of this being is violence, sin, and lawlessness. Everybody say violence,
Violence,
sin,
sin,
and lawlessness.
and lawlessness.
And that's that word iniquity. Watch this.
Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God.
So the only solution for this being, now that iniquity, lawlessness, violence, and all this stuff is found and discovered in him, the only solution is to cast thee as a profane out of the mountain of Yah. He has to be removed from where he is, out of the midst of where Yahweh is. There has to be a separation that had to take place. Okay, come on.
And I will destroy thee.
And the Father said, I will what? Destroy thee. Come on.
O covering cherub from the midst of the stones of fire.
Okay, so that's what he did. Ezekiel 28:17, what did it say?
Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty.
Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. There's something about folks that got the beauty thing. A lot of their hearts are lifted up too, aren't they? So this letting you know this particular being heart was lifted up because of all of those precious stones and things that he had on his body. Okay, his heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Come on.
Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom.
And he corrupted his wisdom. Come on.
By reason of thy brightness.
By reason of thy brightness. Because he looked at himself and said, man, I got to know something. And I don't think what I'm seeing is the way it should go. And I'm going to try to do something and change something around. But his wisdom, this being's wisdom, was corrupted by his own brightness. By his own knowledge and information that he was perceiving. Are y'all following this? Come on.
I will cast thee to the ground.
I will cast thee to the ground.
I will lay thee before kings.
Come on.
That they may behold thee.
So that happened and that took place. Come on. Isaiah 14 and verse 9. What did it say?
Hell from beneath is moved from thee to meet thee at thy coming.
Come on.
It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
So it's letting you know that when this being hits the earth, all this trouble and chaos is going to come. And it's letting you know the chief ones of the earth, it has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So letting you know that this being is going to have an effect on nations. This is important.
Right.
He's going to have some effect on nations. The chief ones of the earth. The ones that's in rulership and dominion now. The ones that have some kind of authority now. He's going to be able to influence them. Okay? Kings of the earth. Come on.
All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?
So all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Very important to know. Come on.
Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy violence the wanton is spread under thee, and the worms covered thee.
Notice that all of that beauty that he had on his body has now become the worm is spread under thee, and the worm covers thee. So could this be this serpent we find in the garden that Eve was talking about? This serpent came and was talking to her. Because no longer it has the covering of the gold and the topaz and the diamond. Ain't got that no more. It's letting you know when he comes, this being comes and gets kicked out of the mountain of Yah, that now the worm is going to be spread over him, over thee, and the worm is going to be his covering. Y'all hearing this? Yes. The book is just telling you what happened to get everything to this setting that we see in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, and chapter 3 of Genesis. All right? It's setting up the stage for it. And I'm taking you through those verses. All right? Come on.
How art thou falling from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
So it's identifying him, this anointed cherub that covered, that had all these beautiful things on him, that at the same time was lifted up in his heart because of his beauty, and he had iniquity in him, violence, and sin was all in him. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. This is why the Bible says he's transferred himself into an angel of light, because light comes only when? In the morning. Come on.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?
It did weaken the nations. All right? Come on.
For thou hast said in thine heart.
And these are all the things that he has said in his heart. These are all the I statements that he has said in his heart. What did he say?
I will ascend into heaven.
That's what he wanted to do. And everybody knows about this particular rebellion. He said, I will ascend into heaven. Come on.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Come on.
I will sit also upon the mounts of the congregation in the sides of the north. See, in the north, obviously, is the place where Yahweh must dwell. In regards to the direction of heaven and all of that. So the Father must be somewhere in the north. All right? Not the north on the earth, but the north as it is in regards to the universe and the heavenly bodies. Are y'all hearing this? Yes. Come on. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
So he wanted to ascend above the heights of the clouds. Are y'all hearing this? What's above the clouds? He wanted to be way up there. Huh? Y'all getting it? Come on.
I will be like the Most High.
I'll be like the Most High if I can get above the clouds. So now this describes what they was doing at the Tower of Babel, don't it?
Right.
Building a tower up into the heavenlies.
Right.
And the Father had to come down and said, the people are one, and I have to confound their languages and cause them to speak something else so they can stop from this work. Now we know that there's skyscrapers all over this earth now, there isn't. But the skyscrapers that we're building, we ain't trying to get into heaven with it, are we?
Right, no.
But at the Tower of Babel, they was building a tower up to heaven. And they were not being inspired by the Most High Yah to do that. They were being inspired by Satan to do that. Because Satan was cast down to the what? Earth. And he wanted to be above the clouds. Y'all got to hear this now. All right? Come on, 15.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
All right? He's going to be brought down even though he's trying to get up. So, everybody say, what happened?
What happened?
Revelation 12 and 4. What did it say?
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. Those are other angelic beings that he was able to convince to rebel with him. We don't know what that number is, a third of the stars of heaven. It could be a number that we can't number, but it don't sound like it was a few of them because the Bible said a third part of the stars of heaven. So we don't know a number on how many that was, but he took some people, he took some other angelic beings with him. Come on.
And it cast them to the earth. And
so he cast the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And you need to know that. Come on.
And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Y'all hear? This is the Revelations talking about this woman. Okay? Come on. Revelations 12:7, what it say?
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
So it's letting you know this is what happened between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. There was a war, where at? In heaven. Okay? And Michael, who is an archangel, his angels fought against the dragon, which is Lucifer, the devil, Satan, that's what we call him now. And the dragon fought against him and his angels. The third part of the stars that was cast to the earth with Lucifer. Watch this.
And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
They did not prevail, the dragon and his angels. There was no place found for them in the heavenly place. Okay? They were cast to the ground. Come on.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan.
Y'all see it? He's giving a description. He said that the great dragon was cast out because that's the only remedy for Satan is for him to be cast out. Got to be cast out everywhere he goes. And the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which what?
Deceiveth the whole world.
See, many people don't believe that they can be deceived. And many people believe that they're not deceived. But this tells us emphatically that Satan, the devil, this old dragon, he deceived some of the world.
All of the world.
The whole world. He was what?
He was cast out into the earth.
He was cast out into the earth. Come on.
And his angels were cast out with him.
And his angels was cast out with him. Okay? Come on.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them.
So the declaration is, because Satan is cast out of heaven, the declaration is, rejoice, O heavens.
Right.
Why? Because the devil ain't there no more.
Cast out.
He said, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Let you know there's beings dwelling in the heavens. Come on.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth. Have y'all ever wondered how Cain, who killed his brother Abel, went and married a woman? The Bible says he went and took his wife to another part of the earth. Because remember, Adam and Eve had 2 sons recorded in Genesis.
Right.
But Cain killed his brother Abel, remember?
Right.
And then after that was done, it says that Cain took his wife and went to another part of the earth. But if Adam and Eve only had 2 sons and one died, how did he get a wife? It had to be other people on the earth. Y'all hearing this? And Revelation declares that woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Come on.
For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
He had but a short amount of time. The word short amount of time means briefly. It's been 6,000 years. A little. Profitable for a little. Degree of intensity, little. In a few words, easily. He only has a short amount of time. Short amount of time. To do what? To do what he's been doing all this time. Deceiving the people. Tricking the people. Causing people not to understand and recognize and really understand what's going on. That's why the Apostle Paul said, it says, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Y'all following this? Okay? What most people do not realize is that the rebellion of Satan, leading 1/3 of the angels to try to usurp the Most High's authority, and the rebellion of the Watchers are 2 separate events. And we've talked about the Watchers over there in Genesis chapter 6, when it begins to talk about the sons of God came down to join with the daughters of men. And they cohabitated with them and got those women pregnant. And what happened? They begat giants. Okay? These are 2 separate events that's going on here. The watchers were not a part of Satan's rebellion. They created their own rebellion against Yah by deciding to leave their first estate, which was a heavenly estate, and to go unto earth to cohabitate with human women. Okay? That's what the text said. Yes.
So it wasn't just the angels who came down and picked the women, but it was the watchers did too.
Well, that's what they were called. They were called the watchers. And we understand that the watchers, I'm going to explain a little bit more as we go on. Satan, Lucifer, he took 1/3 of heaven with him in his rebellion. And we're explaining Genesis 1 and 1, what happened between Genesis 1 and 1 and 1 and 2. We don't hear about the watchers until Genesis chapter 6. Y'all hearing this? Because it talks about giants being born in the earth. He said there was giants born then, and then there was giants born after that. Remember Goliath? He was a giant. Remember the children of Israel when they was about to go into the land and possess the land? They were scared because of the what? The giants was in the land. Are y'all hearing this? This stuff is real. All right, come on. Jude 1 and 6. Come on.
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
Are y'all hearing what? They left their own heavenly place. Come on.
He had reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day.
Are y'all hearing me there? So two separate things is going on happening. Because we know Satan is what? Loose. He walks around as a what? Roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But these that left their first estate, he said he reserved them into what? Everlasting chains, under darkness, unto the judgment of that great day. So it's showing you two separate things are happening and two separate things are going on. Enoch chapter 6 verse 1. We're coming to a close. Enoch chapter 6 verse 1 shed some light on what we read in Genesis chapter 6. Come on.
And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters.
Come on.
And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw.
Are y'all hearing that? And the angels, the children of what?
Heaven.
Come on.
Saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men.
Are y'all hearing this? Okay. Come on. What happened?
And beget us children. And
this was one of the leaders of that Simajah or something. Come on. Enoch.
then
I'm going to read it. He talks about this angel here. This angel, he was the leader of one of them, and he was the one that had the whole idea of doing, let's go down and join with these women. Okay. All right? Another one is called Aziel. And that angel was one of the leaders as well. And that's what, when the children of Israel used to kill the goats, they would send one out into the wilderness so all sin can be attributed to Aziel. And Aziel was one of these angels that came down and joined with the daughters of men. He was one of these leaders, okay? And Enoch tells you, summarizes what happened in Genesis chapter 6. Enoch then continues in that book. If you read the book of Enoch, Enoch then continues to discuss a deal he made with the fellow watchers to all committed the same sin. In verse 7 it says that they were 200 chiefs on the summit of Mount Hermon, which is located on the borders of Lebanon and Syria, and it stands over 9,000 feet high. They agreed to come to the earth and cohabitate with women, and these 200 chiefs were each in charge of tens of thousands of other watchers. So how many failed? We don't know how many failed. Maybe they all did. That would put the number into the hundreds of thousands that fell from heaven and came to the earth. So, in one instance, we have Satan and his angels, right? And we know what happened because the Bible, in the book of Enoch, it talks about how demons were produced and all of that. That when Noah and the flood happened and those giants were all destroyed, it says that these spirits came out of the giants and their prison was going to be the earth, and they was going to walk around the earth bodiless and become evil upon the earth. All right, and that's all in the book of Enoch. But I just want you to see that there's a lot more to the story than what we see. All we know is that we were born in sin. How many people heard that word before?
Yes.
Y'all heard that scripture? And a lot of times when you think of that scripture, that you was born in sin and you were shaped into iniquity, you think that you was born and you was the one that was sinning as soon as you was born. Right? And isn't that what they tell us?
Right.
But it's letting you know that the world was already jacked up.
Yeah.
It was already sinful. And you were just born into a world that was already sinful because Satan was here. Y'all hearing this? And you were shaped by your environment and by the other people that was around you who had demonic spirits in them, and they shaped your world to be just as wicked as they are. Y'all hearing this?
Yes.
2 Peter 2 and 4, what it say?
For God spared not the angels that sinned.
So it's letting you know in the book of Peter that the Father did not spare those angels that sinned in the old world. Come on.
But cast them down to hell,
Come on.
and delivered them as chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment.
Come on.
And spared not the old world,
He spared not the old world. Come on.
but saved Noah, the eighth person, a creature of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Come on.
The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust the day of judgment, to be punished.
So it's letting you know that the Most High Yah, He knows how to deliver people that's going to be godly and righteous and holy. He knows how to deliver them. Y'all want to thank the Father for deliverance.
Hallelujah.
He's letting you know that I know how to deliver the ones that want to live for me. And all the ones that don't want to live for me, He knows how to reserve them unto the day of judgment to be punished. Because there's going to be a great separation of the righteous and the wicked. And the righteous and the wicked, we think like the world. He's talking about the world and all of those people. He's dealing with the people that are calling themselves saints. In the midst of the saints, there is a righteous group and there's a wicked group, even though they call themselves saints.
Right.
Because the wheat and the tare, he said what?
Grow together.
They grow together. So people that believe that they're saints ain't saints.
Right.
But he said let them both go together. And when the time of separation comes, he says the angels will begin to decide and begin to separate those. And a lot of times he talks about angels being men, having the ability to discern the wheat from the tares. Y'all hearing this? So you ought to begin to say, Yah, thank you. I praise you. I give you glory and honor because I have ears to hear and a heart to receive. See, and then if He gives you His Holy Spirit, that's how you know you belong to Him. Because He only gives the Holy Spirit and seals you with the Holy Spirit of those that belong to Him.
Hallelujah.
Everybody else has a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. So, in short, and understanding, there has to be a new heaven created. There has to be a new earth created. Not saying that this earth is going to just disappear, but the things that has happened and the influences that have made people become unrighteous and lawless, that has to be removed so that the new heaven, the new earth can come and that we can live in righteousness and true holiness and the way the Father originally intended. This is why Yeshua, He came as the second Adam. In other words, He was bringing us back